Damn. Nothing gets your attention more than a gunshot, huh? It just seemed like an appropriate intro for my new show, Morrison World Domination, where yours truly, Scummalicious, steps outside of the music business and into the boxing world. And the fantasy football thing, it's so huge, right? And I know that the ratings are down for the football games because of all the political shit going on. But that fantasy still going strong. And so I kind of applied that, the fantasy thing, to boxing. And 10 heavyweight fights that I would have loved if they had actually happened. And I know there's going to be fighters that I left off that some people would say, how in the hell could you not have him on the list? Just like the list I made yesterday. Maybe not all those fighters were the elite fighters, but holy shit, were those fights fun to watch. And so that same kind of method applies to this. My top 10 fantasy boxing matches. I think we'll have a little fun with this. Number 10, this is a fight that people used to talk about ad nauseum, not so much anymore because it's all about MMA and UFC. Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali. Who do you got? Personally, and I'm a little biased, the only time I ever seen Ali fight is when he fought Larry Holmes, obviously towards the end of his career. And this is going to make a lot of people mad, but that's why people do shows, You want to come with a different opinion or a different take. I don't think Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time. And I'm not saying he sucks either. He was obviously a great boxer, a Hall of Fame boxer. But Mike Tyson in his prime, and I should clarify that. When I'm thinking about this dream match, it's definitely at their prime. Mike Tyson in his prime and Muhammad Ali in his prime. Power versus speed. And just me personally, I think Mike Tyson would win. And I know Ali had great speed and quickness, could dodge being hit, but just something tells me, I'm not saying Muhammad Ali would be intimidated by Tyson. Not at all. He'd still be talking shit before the fight. That was one of his best assets. But for me personally, I think Tyson wins that by KO. Let's say third or fourth round. Because we know Iron Mike, he didn't like to go to late rounds. Number 9. Okay, yeah, I don't think I should do that voice anymore. Sounded pretty fucking stupid. Anyway, number 9, Chris Byrd versus Roy Jones. The matchup of the two non-heavyweights that moved up in class. I can't remember what weight class Chris Byrd started in. I want to say super middleweight or something similar to that. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember. And of course we know Roy Jones moved up to heavyweight and got one of the 63 belts. I know I'm exaggerating. He won, I can't remember which one it was, WBC, WBO, IBF, one of those. He won the belt by beating John Ruiz. And I got into an argument with a guy on YouTube over this. And I said, John Ruiz could be one of the worst heavyweights to ever have the belt. His style was so fucking unwatchable. Alright? Hey, I don't have a problem with a guy protecting his chin, and we all seen that knockout from David Tua. Remember that on the night of the Young Heavyweights on HBO? Wow. One of the most brutal knockouts I ever seen. It's right there up with Ray Mercer destroying Tommy Morrison. And everyone knows how much I hated that one. But, he kind of jab and then hold. And remember, Roy Jones isn't a dummy. He wasn't going to fight Corey Sanders. Not the Corey Sanders that absolutely demolished Vladimir Klitschko. And he really did. Roy Jones didn't want any part of that. Chris Byrd, I actually was a pretty big fan. I thought he brought a unique style to the division at the time. There in the late 90s. It's all about the speed. Roy Jones was probably still quicker and faster, but with them meeting at heavyweight, does Chris Byrd have more power than Roy Jones? I don't know. But it was kind of neat to see a heavyweight, and he was obviously not a natural heavyweight, just use kind of a unique style. All the other guys are in there throwing bombs, and Chris Byrd is moving around and using his speed and quickness. So, and as much as I like Chris Byrd, I think Roy Jones wins that fight. Yeah. So first two bouts, Tyson over Ali, Roy Jones over Chris Byrd. And remember, it's fantasy, but it's cooler than fantasy football, and it's definitely cooler than Dungeons and fucking Dragons. All right. Number 8. Might be surprised by this, but you got to hear me out. Vladimir Klitschko versus Lennox Lewis. Really? And of course, we know the fight with Vitaly's brother and Lewis. Man, he almost had him a few times in that fight. What about Vladimir? And I know what you're saying. Vladimir Klitschko versus Lennox Lewis, he would knock him out. Maybe not. Remember, after Big Brother retired, and Vladimir was pretty much the champion of the heavyweight division, Emanuel Stewart, rest in peace, by the way, what an awesome trainer, and I miss him on the on the bouts. He was a good broadcaster, but he got Vladimir to fight in a style kind of similar to John Ruiz, which I really hate saying that. Jab, throw your right hand, kind of hold, because Vladimir even admitted it. He's like, I ain't got the best chin in the world. But one thing that he was better at than Vitaly, and I'll even agree with this, he probably was a better offensive fighter. He was a little more skilled. Vitaly was just tougher, and that's not even a debate. I still think Vitaly has one of the best chins of all time, and I think he kind of proved that. But Lewis, we've seen him hit the mat twice, so it's possible. Why not Vladimir? But it's definitely one of those fights like Tyson. If it went into the later rounds, Lewis would win, because Vladimir would probably run out of gas. You know what? People aren't going to like this because they'll hate it. They'll say, "Wow, you're just like the fucking judges in boxing." Yeah. Even though it's fantasy boxing, I'll be realistic for one bout. I'm going to call it a draw. How about that? Why not? Would that really surprise anybody? Besides, it's my little fantasy, and not that kind of fantasy. Get those dirty thoughts out of your mind, people. All right, number 7, David Tua versus Tommy Morrison. Holy shit! Think about how exciting that fight would have been. Left hook versus left hook. I'm going to be a total fanboy and homer. Tommy Morrison, technical knockout, 5th round. But David Tua knocks Tommy Morrison down a couple of times because we definitely had seen that before. You know, it was funny too because I was watching some of the older fights and they're mentioning Tua, you know, similar to Mike Tyson. He was. I'll give him that. He was similar to Mike Tyson, but come on, he didn't have that same tenacity that Tyson had, which most boxers didn't. But you know, the way he wore shorts and his just the way he moved around the ring, he looked like Tyson a lot. But I kind of end it there. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah, Tua versus Tommy Morrison. There's your surprise knockout. Let's say the third round, and I don't even know if David Tua ever did get knocked down. If I'm remembering right, I know he had a pretty good chin. The only thing that bummed me out about David Tua was when he fought Lennox Lewis, because me and my brother-in-law at the time, we got that fight. Holy, just what a terrible boxing match. Tua just couldn't do anything. I mean, Lewis was too big and he had the reach. And, of course, Lewis could be a really boring fighter at times, too. You know, can't totally blame him. You know, why let Tua hit you with that left hook or try to nail you with the uppercut? He didn't, so. But yeah, I want to say it one more time. Morrison over Tua. Round 3, TKO. The fight has been stopped. You want me to pick a ref? We'll go with Jay Nady. You know, I mean, if it's going to be full fantasy here, I need to talk about the corner man, the cut man, and the referee. All right, number 6. Klitschko versus Lewis, number 2. Tell me you wouldn't want to see that fight. I was watching the fight again this morning, obviously on YouTube, and wow, he had him. He really did. And just like Tommy Morrison, I'm being a total fanboy, but we know. And hey, listen, Lewis is smart. He's like, I ain't fighting him again. Forget that. I don't have anything to prove, which he didn't. I said it yesterday. Lewis just fucking annoys me, and always has. I don't know why. You know, he wasn't a total asshole. You know, there's some boxers you can't even stand to listen to or look at because they're just complete pricks. I don't think Lewis was a prick. Guy just annoyed me. But I think Vitaly Klitschko wins the rematch. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a knockout. I mean, obviously in the first fight he didn't take it very seriously because he wasn't, you could tell he hadn't trained very much, and he was pretty much disrespectful of Vitaly. When he came into the ring, he was like, you know, you could tell. He didn't take him serious. And then he got punched. How you like them apples, Lennox? Yeah, I get a little overprotective when it comes to the Klitschkos, especially Vitaly. Number 5, this one right here. Corey Sanders versus Roy Jones. And I'm talking about Corey the Sniper Sanders. Because there was 2 of them. Some people don't know that, but there was 2 of them. There was the black Corey Sanders, who was American, and the white Corey Sanders. The sniper. The guy that exposed Vladimir Klitschko's chin. Remember that? That was the craziest fight I ever seen. The one thing about Corey Sanders, and I mentioned this yesterday too, he never trained. Ever. You know, he just relied on his natural ability. And wow, what if he had really focused and lifted weights and trained properly? It's scary because I tell you, that left hand, it fucked people up. It almost put Vitaly down on the mat. The guy said that I think has one of the greatest chins of all time. He rocked him. That left hand, just devastating. And Roy Jones, I remember reading the article, that was going to be the guy that he was going to fight. It's still online. You can check it out and read it. It's a done deal. It's all but pretty much finished. Roy Jones is going to fight Corey Sanders. Then he's seen Corey Sanders devastate Vladimir Klitschko. He's like, I ain't fighting that. Let's pick the weakest heavyweight champion that we've seen in 3 decades, John Ruiz. And, it made me sick, the whole thing with, they were showing it on ESPN. What an amazing feat. Don't get me wrong, Roy Jones was a talented fighter. He really was. But, come on. He knew he was going to beat that guy. Just not a great fighter. And Roy Jones, even in the later years here, I don't like seeing him fight all these fucking no names and like getting knocked out by people like Enzo Massarelli or something like that, and that Dennis Believe or whatever. And I'm like, look at these fucking guys you're losing to, And I really couldn't stand Roy Jones. I couldn't, fight these bums and put his hands behind his back, and it's just, he's just the guy. I couldn't stand him, and I really did, and I still do. He was a great fighter, but he fought a lot of bums, and he should have never moved up to heavyweight, and then went back because it fucked him up. It did. And then Antonio Tarver. Yeah, there's another left hand that was pretty devastating. But for the fight itself, Corey Sanders, Roy Jones, Corey Sanders wins that fight. That's why he fought John Ruiz. What? I'll give it. You know what, Roy Jones? Because they would have felt each other out for the first round, second round. Bam! Sanders lends that left hand. Nighty night, Roy. Number 4, and I can't believe I did this. Vladimir Klitschko versus Big Brother Vitaly. Thank God that never happened. But I already know who wins. It's Vitaly, hands down. Vitaly would know him better than any of the other guys that Vladimir fought. And Vitaly knows that his brother was a skilled boxer. Like, he used combinations, which a lot of heavyweights didn't use, like left hook, jab, 2 right crosses, uppercut, A lot of heavyweights don't use that, use those kinds of punches together. And of course Vitaly would know that. But Vladimir would use those combinations and the speed and the power. But Big Brother ain't going down because of that fucking chin's made of concrete. Vitaly wins. 5th or 6th round, because Vladimir's he's gonna punch himself out. That's the way I would see that fight happening. Vladimir trying to land all these bombs, and he uses up all of his energy, and then Big Brother says, "You can't knock me down, little brother. I love you, but this is my fight." Bam. And he lays little brother out. Wait a minute, not little brother, younger brother. Yeah, getting a little crazy here with this fantasy boxing shit. Okay. Number 3, God. Just at the 19-minute mark. Man, this time has flown by. I get all excited when I talk. Just, whatever you're doing at the time and it's fun, time just fucking zooms by. Alright. Vitaly Klitschko, Riddick Bowe. Tell me that would have been a fucking awesome fight. Huh? That's a fight. Too, on a little side note, I always wanted to see Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis fight. Because I think they fought each other in the Olympics. Just because, once again, come on. I want to see the American win. Fuck Lennox Lewis. Anyway, Riddick Bowe, Vitaly Klitschko. Oh my God, I think it'd have been a great fight. You know, I wasn't a huge Bo fan either, but the dude usually came to fight. He wasn't a, he didn't run around, and that's why, like most of the guys you see on these first two lists that I've made, people appreciate guys that come in there, and fight like that. And listen, I have respect for any guy that does that. It takes a lot of balls to do that, and not everybody can do it. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a couple people I know that think they're UFC fighters, and they're not. You know why? Because UFC fighters take it serious, and they fucking train every day. Don't sit at home and watch fucking cartoons, drink beer and smoke. Oh, hey, what are you doing? Nothing, just watching TV. Hey, dude, we're gonna train here in a half hour. Oh, okay. Just let me finish this beer and I'll be over. I know I'm exaggerating, but, yeah. Bo kind of fought fearless, I thought, anyway. Yeah. Vitaly Klitschko, but of course, I'm going to be a total fanboy on this too. Vitaly Klitschko, you know what? 12-round decision. Unanimous decision. Bo gets in there, lands some punches here and there, but, Vitaly's in that reach. Just kind of employs that simple fight plan. Jab right. It works. So there's the first fight of my fantasy fights where I said it was a decision, no knockout, or technical knockout. Number 2, you knew it was going to be on here eventually. I mainly did this for my buddy, Jenna Fucilero Davis Smith Jones Heater. I know it's a lot of names, but she's Italian. That's how she rolls. And listen, the great thing about her, when I'm making these lists, I think of my buddy, because I watched, and I know I've told the story before, but she connected with the bitch slap heard around the world. And the girl said, what did you do that for? I just laugh about it every time I think about it. Anyway, big Rocky Marciano fan, obviously, because she's Italian. And Ali. And, I see all the stories. Because there's a biography about Rocky Marciano. And then reading stories online. Wow. Like, he used to bury his money, like hide it and bury it, because he didn't believe in banks. And I remember one of his family members say he'd forget where he dug a hole to hide his money. Just really crazy. He was always thinking that people were out to get him and stuff, and just mainly because he was such a tough fighter. I've heard a couple guys say, well, he was a good fighter, but his best trait was his heart and his toughness. And you know what? In the heavyweight division, yeah, because we always say, or at least I do, it's not who can punch and knock people out. It's who can take a punch. And from everything I've read, he had a chin made out of steel, just like Vitaly, and it's speed versus power again, right? With Ali and Marciano. I'm just going to go, it's a split decision. Ali. Because the judges, in their mind, they'll think that Ali landed more punches because he's so much faster. That's just how I would see it. And it doesn't take away from anything from Marciano being one of the best boxers to ever live. But one thing that holds me back on Marciano just a little bit, he fought a lot of guys past their prime. I know he never lost a fight. Was it 49-0? I could be wrong. But that the list of his fights and seeing some of the fighters he fought way past their prime, diminishes his record a little bit for me. But still, you never lose a fight in the heavyweight division. That's saying something. And the number 1 fight, the reason that I wanted to do this list is because a guy mentioned this on Facebook the other day. He's like, wow, what fight would we have got with these two? Tommy Morrison versus Mike Tyson. Holy fuck. You know, honestly, I think it'd be a lot like the Ray Mercer fight, only he's not going to wait around. He's going to come after Tommy. And, wow. I hate doing this, but I got to be honest. Even though it's fantasy, fantasy boxing, I just think both guys land huge shots, and Tyson wins by stoppage in the 4th round, but gets knocked down in the 1st and 2nd round. He's going to keep coming after Tommy, and Tommy's going to keep, and that's the one thing. That's what Tommy did. That's why I had so much respect for him. Say what you want to about that chin, but he always came to fight, and he was always going for the knockout. And when you do that, it leaves you open to get knocked out. And that's, unfortunately, that's what happened to him a few times. But wow, I tell you what, Morrison Tyson is the equivalent of Hagler and Hearns, only, they were middleweights. Can you imagine seeing two heavyweights fighting like that? Well, there you go. Morrison Tyson would have been that fight. Alright, well there you go. Second show of Morrison World Domination. Kind of having fun with this. Now I gotta go talk about music. Yeah, I know, the little chatterbox, he's always a squawking. You know how I end this. Take it easy. And if it's easy, take it twice. I'm out.